All right, good morning, everybody joining us today. Welcome to the most exciting webinar in recent times. We are live coding Lightning Web Components as a finale for our Lightning Web Component webinar series in APAC. I am Shashank Srivatswaya. I'm joined today by Satyashekhar, our usual suspect for webinars. Hi, Satya, how are you?
I'm doing good, Shashank.
And making debut today is Aditya Topali, who's a new senior developer evangelist on the Salesforce Asia Pacific Developer Relations team. Welcome, Aditya.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
How are you feeling?
Excellent.
So I heard you guys have put together a great show for us today. We are going to go ahead with that. Before that, let me tell you, like any other presentation, we might make some forward-looking statements, so don't make any buying decisions based on what we're going to talk about today. With that said, we are all for social. Feel free to tweet us out on at Salesforce Devs on Twitter, and we are Salesforce developers on Facebook and LinkedIn. And you can also find all our amazing developer content on our YouTube channel, Salesforce Developers, including all the webinars that we do, and including this one, which will shortly be posted. And just for people who are wondering, this webinar will be recorded, and the recording and the slides will be made available on the same page that you used for the registration. And then the recording and slides should be up on that page shortly after we are done with the online session. So with that, one more housekeeping item about questions. Feel free to use the questions tab to let us know about any questions that you get. We might not be doing a live Q&A today because it's a different kind of a webinar. It's slightly different. We are doing live coding. So, but still feel free to post your questions. We'll see if we can maybe in the middle take some questions to answer. We'll also try to make it interactive by asking you about what's coming up next year in the webinar. So you can use the questions tab to let us know about what you think is going to come up next, what is the next line of code going to be like, all that interactive fun stuff we can do. So let's all do it together. Let's have fun together for 1 hour. With that, let me tell you just a few highlights of the series so far and also what we are going to kind of practice today. We spoke about Lightning Web Components anatomy, how an LWC looks like, and we spoke about the component library and the playground. Developer tooling, what are the tools that you have to work with like the LWC and build Lightning Web Components. Also spoke about base Lightning components and working with Salesforce data, be it Lightning Data Service or Apex. And we have also spoken in the recent episodes about intercomponent communication, interoperability with Aura components, and static resources and custom third-party JavaScript, debugging and testing as well. We have seen so many things in the last 4 episodes. Thank you so much, Satya, for taking us through all that. And we're also going to post the links to all our episodes, the previous episodes, in the chat window. So feel free to refer to them. You can just go back to them if you want to watch them again. And don't worry if you haven't watched them, you can still go through this episode. It's a finale episode of live coding where we're going to practice all we preached in the last 4 episodes. So with that, what we're going to do today is simple single line agenda. We're going to build Lightning Web Components for a business use case. And what is a business use case? So I'm going to play the role of a product manager or someone from the business who wants a particular functionality on the Salesforce contact object. And let's take the role of a sales representative. And as a sales representative, I should be able to find the nearest restaurants based on a contact record's address, so that I can schedule like a lunch or dinner appointment with that contact and then talk about my sales deal. And once I select the restaurant, I should be able to see the restaurant in a map so that I can find the location easily on the same contact record itself. And I should also be able to select a date and time to fix an appointment, like a dinner appointment, create an event record, something like that, all on the same page. So I have my developer experts, Satya and Aditya, who are going to help me with this. So let's have a look at how it should look like, Satya, and I'll hand it over to you guys to basically help me with this. So yeah, if you look at the contact record page, we have the related tab, details tab, and news, and the related tab, details tab, and have all the fields. On the right side, I kind of want to have these components widgets where I can look at nearest restaurants, look at it map and appointments and stuff. So over to you guys on how you can help me out with this.
Okay, Shashank, thank you for these requirements. Yeah, it looks awesome. I can see the contract detail page. That's what we have probably in our system currently. And yeah, you want two Lightning Web Components. Is it one Lightning Web Component? And then the first Lightning Web Component, you want to show the restaurant names and details about the restaurant. And the second component, probably I remember there should be one component on my
Yes, there is already an Aura component that's already there. It just
Yeah.
shows a list of appointments and stuff. I want you guys to, use LWC to make this whole thing better.
So you have past appointments already there in your other
Yes.
component, and you want us to implement new appointment. That's great. So probably me and Aditya will share doing these things. I'll build the first component, and yeah, before doing that, I'll start right from scratch, and I'll check out the code which is already there in my source repository. So for that, I would like to go to my browser window. So this is the repository which I want to check out. I'll clone it. Let me copy the URL. Let me come back to my terminal and see where I'm currently in my home folder. So I'll check out the code here, git clone, and I'll use that URL to check out the code. So yeah, I have a few things already there. Let me check what I got now. Let me go to the folder. I believe it is contact appointments, which has the code. Yeah, it looks like it has master, it has some config, data, force app. Let me explore what else to have in my force app. I have a few things already there. Okay, I have a few things. Okay, I have some flexi pages or a component that should be there already in my system. Now, I already have my code here. So what I'll do is I'll go and open my Visual Studio Code and then launch this project there in my Visual Studio Code. So once you open the Visual Studio Code, you can click your Project Explorer. You can open the folder which you have just created. So which is in my SSaker. The folder name is Contact Appointments. So let me get this project into my Visual Studio environment. Yep, I have the code in my Visual Studio environment. I'll also save the workspace before starting. So let's save the workspace as my contacts workspace. And I'll put it in the same folder there. Let's see the existing code, how it's working. Let me create a scratch org and put my code there. To do that, I can launch my command palette and I can create a scratch org. So I'll create a default scratch org. So I'll use the project definition file, which is already there. And let's call that as contacts org. And I'll keep it for 7 days. That is the default time. It can be up to 30 days though. So once my scratch org is created, I can push my code into my scratch org. So yes. So while the scratch org is created, it also shows the output about how it is creating the scratch org.
And I believe Visual Studio Code kind of adds like a shortcut at the bottom where you can just click on it when it's ready.
Right.
Just launch scratch org.
Yes. Now it's there. My exit code is 0, which means my scratch org is created. So I can push my code. I can push my code here. I can either do it from my command palette or I can go to the terminal and I can use my terminal command as well. Let me do that. First, let me check my current working directory to make sure that I'm in the contact appointments directory. And let us push the code using the /source :push command. This pushes the code into the default scratch org. So once the code is pushed into the scratch org, we have, while it pushes, we'll also explore that I have some data .json files. Let me open one of the data.json file here. So I want to add few contacts in my scratch-off. Scratch-off doesn't come with the data, so we have created the data file to be pushed into the scratch-off. So I can push the data there. In order to do that, I can say SFDX force :data :tree and import. And I can give the plan as I can just my plan. I have created a plan as well. You can see here data plan.json, in which I'm just pushing the accounts.json file, and I'm also pushing the contacts.json file. So I'm using the same plan there. So let's go back and so I'm pushing the contact data into my org. So what I have done is I just check out the code. I have imported it into my Visual Studio Code there. Then I created a scratch org and pushed the code. Let me open my scratch org right from my command palette. So I can say open default scratch org. You can see that the existing code already pushed onto your scratch org and should be available there. So once your org loads, let me open the sales app here. So because we are going to work on the contacts record, so let's open the sales app. And let's go to the contacts. And you can see that 2 of my contacts already imported, which I just pushed from my Visual Studio Code. Okay, so let's open one of the contact and see what we have here. As you specified, we have related details news. Now we need to build 2 components which are to be laid out here probably, right? So let's go back to the presentation once and see how the component is supposed to look like, and then we'll start building the component.
Before that, can we also actually push the code and see how the current Aura component looks like?
Definitely. As I push the code, probably my Aura component should already be available there. So we can customize the page using our app builder. And yes, you can see my Aura component here, appointments. Let me drag my Aura component and place it here. This is how my current Aura component looks. Let us save it. Let us activate it. And let us also make it as org default. And you can see that now we are in summer 19 release. So this interface is a little changed. You can configure default for your desktop, phone, and both. Let us save it. So once it is saved, let's go back. And you can see our component there. Okay, now let's go back to our presentation and see how the component should look like. So this is the component breakup which you requested for. So on the left side, we are going to create a component called nearest restaurants, which is a LWC component. On the right side, we already have an existing Aura component within which Aditya is going to create a new component for booking the appointment. So let's start with the interface on the left side. So I'm in the recent past, I've become a big fan of component library, where I can quickly prototype the user interface and then start using that user interface. If you see here, I have a nearest restaurant card, and within that, it looks like I can put some items there. Let's go back and let's open the component library. I'll open it in a new tab. Okay, so first let's build the list of records which we want to display there, for which we can use the tile. So let me go here and say tile. So let's open the lightning tile here. And there are different examples for lightning tile. I have example with avatar, I have example with icon. So you can select any of these examples, but this avatar example looks more close to what we wanted in your interface, right? So we wanted an image, we want some name there, and some information at the bottom. So why not adjust this particular component here, test it, and then use the same component there in our actual code. So here I want to name this, I want to show the name of the restaurant here. So probably I can change the label. I want to show the name, restaurant name here, and then this image, because I'll be showing some restaurant image, so maybe I can use a property called size there. So let us use a property. Let me define a property here and see the property size equal to large. Okay, I've given some size equal to large there. Yeah, it adjusts, and then I just want one list item where I can show that information. So let us use one of the list items here, where I want to show something like some distance, like say 300 meters, and you can see the output here. And then I also want to show the rating, maybe something like 4. And then I want to show some star there. So I think there are, yeah, I can use ampersand star F. So this is how I'm expecting my component to look like. So let us copy this lightning tile and paste it in our very first code. But yeah, in order to do that, we need to create our component there. Let's get into the Visual Studio Code. Let's create our very first lightning component. Let us create a lighting web component. Let us call it as nearest restaurants. And we'll use the default LWC folder for our component. And once this component is created, we can paste our code. Let me open here. Let us close the unnecessary things. If you don't like it, we don't want it at the moment. So yes, so here I have the nearest restaurant component. Let me open the nearest restaurant.html file as well. This is where I want to paste that code to start with. So this is my code, and I also want to put it in my lightning card so that it looks better. Let me see the syntax for the card in my component library. So let's select lightning card. So yeah, here it shows the lightning card, which has some label, some body, some footer. So let's go and adjust that card. And one more important thing, yeah, let's adjust that card first. Let me copy this. And I don't want lightning button and other stuff. So I can see how it looks if I only keep the card there. I don't even want a footer. So it has some label, and I can put whatever body I want within that card. So let's copy this. Let's go back to the code. So I've created card, and I want to put this in my card. Yes. So now I have a card. Within that, I have a lightning tile. And so when I was also designing the tile, in order to get the right color, you can see in lightning tile, we have a CSS file as well. We have a HTML file. I took the things from HTML file, and in my lightning web component code, JavaScript code, there's nothing, so I'm not copying anything from there, but I can copy the CSS file, and I can also create a CSS here with the same name. Let me create a CSS, new file. Let us call it as nearest restaurants .css. Okay, I'll paste it and let us save it. Now we have created an HTML file. We have created a CSS file. So we are ready with the UI. We want to show the restaurant list. So we have one class already defined in our org, Shashank, which uses the Yelp API to get the list of restaurants. Probably we can use the same class here. Let me open that class.
So beginners who haven't heard about Yelp, Yelp is kind of like a combination of Just Dial and Zomato that we use internationally for Indian audience who heard about Zomato. It's kind of similar to that, and it also includes functionality that Just Dial gives. So the Yelp API actually gives a list of restaurants based on the address that you ask for it. So that's what we are using in our Apex class.
Exactly. And yeah, here I have the code which is making a call out to the external system. So I'm using the HTTP request. This is URL I'm using to call the Yelp and get the information about a particular location. And then I'm returning the nearest restaurants. Basically, I'm searching for nearest restaurants and I'm returning all those restaurants as a list of objects. So once we have the list of objects, we can use that in our nearest restaurants.html. We know that this is what is returned. So for that, I believe we can use a while service and then get that information and show that information here. So let's go to nearest. Let me open the nearest restaurant.js file here. So this is where we are going to write the code. So wherein I want to use the while service. And one more important thing to note here is because we are going to use it in a record page, right? We also need to mention @record ID. @API, we can use @API record ID, which we can use, which we can send to this nearest restaurant's restaurant finder class, which takes a contact ID information. So I can send that record ID so that I can get the nearest restaurants to my contacts location. So I can see an error here. It says that, yeah, what's the error? It says API is not defined. Okay. Let us define the API. I got rid of that error now. So for this, getting the information from my Apex class, we can use either base lightning components. In this case, probably base lightning components are not much suitable. So we can go with while service. That would be the next best option. So let us go with while service here. Yeah, so this is called, so when I type, so here you can see I'm using some shortcuts there. I'm typing something like LWC minus, right? It gives me a list of code snippets. These are the things which automatically generate some code for us. Where like we'll get a boilerplate code which we can fill in and complete our component. So here I'm using LWC minus, I want to use wire. So I can wire my Apex to a function, or I can wire it to a property. I have different options. In this case, I get a list of records which I want to assign it to a property. So here it has generated a skeletal code for me. So let me replace this method name with whatever method name I have in my restaurant finder. So this is the method name. So I'll take this method name. Let us replace this with that method name, and then I can send some parameters. It's expecting a parameter. Let me see what is the parameter name it's expecting. It is expecting a contact ID. So let us also send that as a parameter here. I can say contact ID colon, right? And we can give the record ID which we got here. So let us put the record ID. And again, I want to make it dynamic so that whenever it changes, it again calls the wire property there. And let us give some name to our property. Let us call it as restaurants list. That's it. Okay, I can see some error message here. So it says wire is not defined. So in order to use the wire service, we'll have to define wire. And then it also says that get restaurants list is not defined. So we need to import this as ECMAScript module in our restaurant.js file. To do that, we can use the import statement. Import, let us call this method get restaurant list from, I can use at Salesforce. So when I try to get that, when I type add, you can see all the possible options. So I want to use get restaurant method. There are other methods as well. So I can simply take this method and then put a semicolon. Now my code looks simple, right? I got a restaurant list here. So we can use this restaurant list in our nearest restaurants.html file. Let us save this file so far. So let's go here. So this component heading label, let's give it as nearest restaurants. And then I want to load these styles. Like, we have 5 records, so 10 records which are written from our Apex call there. So I want to list out all the records for which I can use the HTML directives. And I can use different directives. First, I can check if I got a record there. So I can say, I can use one of the directives called template : if, right? I can use this directive. So let me create some space so that I can fill in the details for this if true condition. Here I want to use the property. I want to check this property, right? So I want to check this property. So the property is restaurant list. So if this list is available, if this list is available, then I want to do all this stuff, right? And then within that, I want to do a for loop as well. So I can say template : for, or template if : for. So I can use that. So for colon, I can use for each loop there, and I can use the same restaurant list for each of the items in the restaurant list. I want to, for each of the items in the restaurant list, I want to iterate through. So I can say for item equal to, I can give some name like restaurant, and that's it. So I just created a for loop. I just created a if condition. So if I got some data, then I can do something. At the same time, if I don't get data, I can. So here let us take data, because restaurant list will be an object that is written there, JSON object, which can contain data and it can also contain a error, right? So let's yeah. So let me create. Yeah. So let me create one more condition there for checking the false condition as well, or else when we get an error, probably want to handle it. You can handle that error, in which case I don't want to do any for loop. So if true, if we got a restaurant list dot error, right? Restaurant list dot error, then we'll show the error there. You can show whatever error, you can just put a div, whatever logic you want to put there, we can put the logic there, and then we can show that. Okay, let's see this for loop. Let's copy this lighting tile. So in fact, yep, I missed out the lighting card here. Let me group it. Okay, this is my complete code. So let us copy this, and then let us put the lighting card at the top, so that it is, because it is a container. And let us put our lighting tile in this. Yep. So let us also adjust some indentation so that it looks good. And I can see a lot of red lines. This is what I'm mostly scared most of the times. Let's see what it says. Yeah, it says that is missing key for element lighting title instead of iterator. So whenever we are using iterator, we'll have to use the key. So for which we can give the key any ID, unique ID. So let's also quickly see the help probably if I can find help here from help documentation also, you can see what are the different fields that are written from the help. So likewise, if you are using any other third-party API, you can refer to its documentation and see what returns. Now, in this case, we are searching for the restaurant. So when the restaurant returns, this is the structure which is going to be written by help. So here we can see an ID. I can use this ID for my key there. So let us use a restaurant because this is what we have given the name of the element there, restaurant.id, and label, we want to use some restaurant name. Again, we can use the same restaurant. So I can say restaurant dot, then I believe there should be a name field there. Yeah, we can see name. So you can use restaurant dot name. And what else do we want to show? So we can keep this as hash. So we can keep type as it is. And avatar, I want to give a source URL. So I want to use the image source. So I have an image URL. I can use this. So let us remove this default source. And let us use the restaurant dot image URL. This is what is written there. So we don't want any fallback icon. This is absolutely fine. Yep, there is a error here. And let us put the closing tag here. Okay. So does this look good, Aditya?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Cool. Okay. Let us save this. Let us save this, and then we'll push the code.
Hey, by the way, I just noticed, I think in line number 4, it has to be restaurant listed data as well, because in the if row, you have changed the data.
Exactly. That's what we generally like. That's the advantage of paid programming. That's the advantage of having Aditya here, right? So it has to be restaurant list.data. Let us save this, and then let us push the code. Yep. Yeah, let us push the code there. Let us push the code and see how it works. We can also use the terminal for that. Let me launch the terminal. SFDX force : source : push. Okay. If everything goes well, probably it pushes properly. But if there is an error, oh, we are lucky, right? So it pushed. Let us open the default org. And let's see if our component is readily available there to be. Let's go here. Open my sales app once again and see the contacts. Let's open John Smith. Let us edit the page. And let's see if our component is already there. It's not there. Definitely we have done some mistake, right? So what is the mistake? So let's quickly check. In our case, we have it looks like we have done everything pretty nice. But yeah, I probably missed out setting up my meta file. I probably missed out exposing this component. So I can set it to true, and then I can define targets there. So let me define targets. So I want to define a record page here. That's sufficient. Let us save it. Let us again.
There is an extra angular bracket, line number 5.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. Thank you for fixing it. Let me open again my terminal and let us push the code. And once the code is pushed, let's see the changes. Our component should be available there in our app builder. Push failed. There's again a problem. There's one more less than greater than symbol here. It's good for the developers to find the problems, right?
Such small things are hard to find generally.
Yes. So let me again try to push. I just changed it. Let me save that file once, and then let us push the code once again. Let's go and let us refresh the page. Now I can see my nearest restaurants component here, right? So let us drag that component and put it just above, so that we'll have the same look like what Shashank has given me as the requirement, and you can see my requirement here. So let us save this and go back and see if it looks the same way. Now we have the restaurants here. So what was your next requirement, Shashank? Like you'll have to click this, and then probably that should be showed in your map here, is it?
Yeah, this looks pretty good. And let's say we have a list of restaurants, and I want to see where this restaurant is by just clicking on it. So maybe a map, and maybe a way to book an appointment right there, something like that.
Okay, so let us do write a. So in this case, we can, because now this is a component, this is another component, and both are not in the same containment hierarchy. So I believe we can use publish subscribe method to make establish communication, right, Aditya?
Yes. Once you publish it, I think I will subscribe.
Oh, yeah, yes, we can do that. Let's go back. Let's go back to the code, and then let's get into the nearest restaurant.js file, right? Where I want to create a publish subscribe kind of stuff, and that I want to do it when someone clicks on the one of the links here. So let's make that as maybe on the image link or any of the links here. So let's make the changes in the HTML file, and let's create a H reference, or like we can use this link.
On click should be there, right? On the tile, you can do an
there should be on click on the tile. Probably we can use that, is it? Let us see. We can use on click, which we have on tile. I can create on click here. So let us create a on click on the tile. On click, I want to call a method. Let us give a method name. Let us call it as handle click. So I want to define that method in my JavaScript there. So I'll put it in braces. So let us call it as handle click, right? And let us define that method there in JavaScript. And then, do you want any other information, Aditya, like when you want to show that is only event generation, or you want some data also to?
Okay, so let's see. Ideally, when you click, if I want to show something on the map, latitude and longitude is what I'm going to need for sure.
Okay. Okay. And then, yeah.
And along with that, I think it is good if you can pass me the restaurant name also, because whenever I'm booking the appointment, which is as per one of the requirements, I need to be able to set it somewhere saying that the appointment is at so-and-so location. So I think basically for now, send me those 3 things.
Yeah.
If I require something later, I'll ask you.
So later probably, yeah. I'll send. In that case, I'll define some attributes for my lighting tile from where I can send that information. So I want to send a restaurant restaurant latitude. So let me see where I'm getting restaurant latitude in my documentation here. So yeah, so in restaurant I have coordinates in which I have latitude, so I can send that information here. So I can say restaurant dot I can say coordinates dot latitude, and then you also want longitude. So let me copy paste. I'm a programmer, I'll try to be
efficient.
So I'll copy the same thing. So this I'll call it as, instead of data lat, I'll call it as data lon, and here I'll send the longitude. Okay, and then you also wanted the location, right?
No,
so
the name.
Yeah, name of that. Okay, cool. So let me also send a name. So I'll create one more parameter called data name, and I'll send the name of the restaurant. I'll say restaurant dot name. Okay, there are things. Now let's go and implement the handle click in our JavaScript. Let me copy this, and before that, let me save it. Let us go to JavaScript file, and let us write the code for the handle click there. So here I'll write handle click, and which gets an event which we want to use there. So this event, by default, when we click on a link that has its own default behavior, so I want to prevent the default behavior. So let me prevent default for that event, and let me define our own behavior. And in this case, I want to fire event. I want to do something like this. I want to fire event, right? Which I remember takes 3 parameters. This dot page, but let's see if we can in fact even check it by importing it from one of the modules, pubsub module, which
On
is defined on the recipes. Probably we'll have to get that module and then import it and then do that stuff. So let's go to one of our sample gallery, favorite sample gallery, and then open recipes, or for that matter, even e-bikes. From there, you can get the pubsub. So let me take recipes, and I can download the pubsub module from here, or maybe I can even take it from my local system. It's already available. I can copy it right from there. So let me search for pubsub. If it's already available, then I'll use the pubsub from there, because I've been working a lot on my recipes app. Okay, no worries. Let me download it. So you can go to Force app, main default.
Yeah, in LWC you will have pubsub. I think it's easier
to download zip file, and then
just go to pubsub and then we will create it. It's fine.
Right from here?
Yeah, just click on pubsub.
And then we'll create the same files,
JS, yeah.
And then copy paste the code from here. That's what you want me to do?
Yes.
Cool. Let's do that. So let me create a module called pubsub. Let me create a lighting web component, right, with name pubsub, right? And yes, I'll create it in the same location. So I got pubsub.js. What best I can do is I can go here and take the raw code from here, copy it, paste it, and then straightly use it. Let us take this code and paste it here, and let us save it. Let us also copy the meta file there. So I have pubsub meta there. So let's see what we have in the meta file. Something interesting. Okay, it's a simple meta file, nothing to change, so we can use it as it is. And yeah, I set it to false because I'm only going to use it in my code. Let's go back to JS quickly, and then let's import that. So I can use import. I want to import fire event. That's the method which I want to import. Let me put it here, fire event. Okay, from my C/pubsub module, right? Yeah, I can take from C/pubsub module. This is what I have. And if you see this fire event, it takes 3 parameters: page reference, event name, and payload. So let's supply all those 3 parameters. We have to supply a page reference. So I need to create a page reference here. So let's create a page reference first. So I want to get the current page reference. So for that, I'll use the LWC wire method. Let me import. Do that. Let me do that here. So I'll use at wire. So I can use LWC wire anyway. Method to property, wherein I don't want to send any configuration parameters. I can directly use a method called current page reference, which is defined in Lightning navigation, if I'm not wrong. Aditya, is that Lightning navigation?
You can just import current page reference from
let
Lightning/navigation.
Let us import current page reference from Lightning navigation. Lightning/navigation, right? I think there's a spelling mistake there. Let us save it. Right. Okay. So I can use the current page reference here. So I can get the current page reference here. So let me copy this and then just replace it and give a name. Let us call it as page reference for now. Page ref, and put a semicolon there, and then we'll use it in the file. We'll use using this dot page reference. That's how we can refer to the current context page reference property. And then I want to create a event. Let's call that event as location selected, because that's where we are selecting the location. And I want to send some information here, which I can build from my data there, which I got. Like, we have created nearest restaurant. We are sending these 3 parameters. So let's do it from there. Let's define a location. And again, because I'm defining it in the function, it's necessary that I give the keyword constant where or let. So let us define an object. I just want to send this object there. So which has name, and this name has, I can get this name from my event dot target. So I have event here. Yeah, I can get from event.target, and I can get that attribute, right? I can use this because I've given the attribute name. So what is the attribute name? Was the data name?
Yeah, data hyphen
name. Okay, let us take this and let us copy, and because I'm going to get other parameters as well.
I think
and yeah, it's comma, because I'm creating a object there. And yep, so we need to get name, we need to get latitude, okay, in which case this will be latitude, and we need to get longitude, and in this case longitude.
Oh, okay. Just give long. Sometimes long is a standard keyword, right? So
yeah, that's the problem. Yep. Okay, so I given long there, so I'm using the same thing, and then I can use this location in my call here. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, right. Maybe a semicolon on line 21 also. To be
safe. I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is JavaScript. One semicolon can change.
I'm very bad at it. Yep. Okay. Let us save this file.
I think Satya, at this point,
Yeah.
you can just commit it to the repository and I'll fetch it, because there is no way you can test this without me handling the logic.
Exactly. Let me do that. Let me do that right away. So I'll go here. I'll see what are the files that are changed, and I'm committing it to master. You want me to come to master from where we are?
I think I'll commit it to dev.
Dev. Okay. You want me to commit it to dev? Let me switch to my.
Or it's fine. You can commit it to master. Your call. Whatever okay. You're committing it, I'll use it.
Okay. Let us commit it to master for now for this demo purpose. Let us take this, because again we'll have to generate a pull request. Yeah. Oh, a lot of things to do. So let us add these two files. So I just what are the files that are just created? So nothing so special. So Apex DB. Okay, let us do a JIT status. Okay, I have these two things that are changed. I have, let me add this. Let me add my nearest restaurants component. And let me also add this one. Do you need anything else? I don't think.
I think you're good.
Yeah. So I've added the two files, and then so they're all already there in the stage changes. So I added the new things which are changed. Let me make a commit. Nearest restaurants component. So I believe I'm doing everything that you can check probably. Aditya, if I miss something, you can let me know. I can again commit it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me do that. I just committed. Let me push my changes. Okay, can you check if you got the changes right there?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I've received the changes. Can you make me the presenter?
Yeah, so Aditya can present now so that we can see the rest of the code. That's what Aditya is going to build. So Aditya is going to build this part of the
okay.
So are you going to now pull the changes that Satya has done
yes,
and go on from here?
I have just done that. So I've done a git pull.
You're too fast, man.
And it actually pulled all the changes that Satya had just committed. All the nearest restaurants, pubsub, and all of it has come. So the next thing that I have to do is I have to handle this request. So I'll have to do it in Aura itself, is what I'm guessing, because my Aura component is the one that's going to handle it and then pass it to wherever I want.
So are you going to replace this Aura component with an LWC, or are you going to use LWC inside Aura?
Actually, I'm going to do that one. That I'm going to use an LWC inside Aura, because there is already a lot of functionality built. If you look at it, I have a tab which is already showing a list of past appointments. It's going to be a headache for me to redo this in LWC.
Right.
So if you look at this, I think the developer, whoever has done this, has left this open for me.
So that's good. At least you have a placeholder there to write the code.
Yeah,
right?
I'm just going to.
So there's actually no need to just replace the whole Aura component. You can just take parts and make them LWC. That's what we're trying to do.
Any new functionality that I want to do, I'll just do it in LWC, put it into Aura, and it's going to work seamlessly.
Cool.
Okay, so before that, I quickly. Okay, let's see. I think he's publishing an event, so I need to subscribe for it.
Yeah.
So I think there is a recipe for that. So I'll go to LWC recipes. I already have it downloaded. So let's see. I think it is Aura pubsub, because I'm going to use with Aura.
Right.
I'll just copy this and put it in my workspace. which is contact.
So this is the best way, I'll tell, like, because yeah, I could not find that code on my system, so I copied it right from my sample repo there. But yeah, you can copy it from your system because it's already available.
Yeah, the moment I place it here, I think Aura pubsub has come. And now again, I don't want to like write all of this code. So let me see if I have something in recipes that allows me to like paste content. Again, let's see. I want to subscribe to an event. So that is definitely not going to be in LWC, right? Because I'm doing it using Aura. So I'll go to Aura and I'll see publish Aura pubsub subscriber, which is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I can quickly look at what is the component code. Okay, let me just edit it with text editor. Okay, so in this code, I'm seeing that an Aura pubsub has been written. Let me just copy that. Okay, so here what essentially it is doing is we are importing whatever I have copied, and then there is a handle pubsub ready, which means there is some code in my controller as well. So open with text edit. Okay, all of my code is pre-written, so let me just copy that. And appointment start appointment control. So already the init functionality people have defined, so I don't want to touch that. I just put handle pubsub ready, and I'm doing all of this. Okay, now Satya, can you remind me what is the name that you have given to your event?
Yeah.
Or I can check that.
Yeah, probably you can check it on.
Yeah, I think it is location selected.
Yeah.
So I'll register a listener for location selected, and in the callback, I'm actually getting a lot of data, right? Now, I want to quickly see if I'm getting the right data or not. Okay, so I have basically written a handler. So in my Aura component, I have put in a pubsub module to subscribe to your event, and I've just copy pasted whatever is the handler that is there, and I want to just see if the data is coming properly or not. Okay, so now let me do. This is one good thing. I'll have all the commands handy. So SFDX for source push, I think that is what you were using, right?
Exactly.
Let me push it. Hopefully it should go through.
Looks like it did.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
That's where I like you, Aditya. Most of the times you are ready with the commands and then do this stuff.
Okay, hopefully it should work fine. So let me see. I haven't added your code to my page actually. So let me quickly do that. So your nearest response is what you added, right? To the top?
Right.
Okay, it's working for me as well. Yeah, it
Yeah.
works. Okay.
So probably we can once check in the org whether it's pushed and the component is already available.
Yeah, so moment of truth, Satya. If I click here, I should be getting an alert.
Yeah.
If not, we'll have to see what has happened. Oh, excellent. I got some alert, which means the event has been handled. But I really, at this point, don't know what is the data that I'm getting. So let me just do json.stringify of my data. Okay, and then let me repush it. I missed a bracket here. Oh, this keeps happening. Oh, I think it's the page layout. I modified it without putting, so it's fine.
You can still force the push.
Yeah, I am not going to pull the changes now. I'll just force the push.
Yeah.
It's my own org, right? So I'm free to override the changes. I'm confident that I'm not overriding other changes.
That's where the scratch jobs are really beneficial. We can do whatever we want.
We can do what we want, yeah.
So let me refresh it. Okay, I think I'll have to re-add that component. maybe I'll put it next time. Okay. So now let's see. Okay, so I think I'm getting the data you've sent me. So now I think the best course for me is to create a Lightning Web component that shows a map, and then which takes in these three as parameters, right? So let me keep this open for me to easily navigate. So I'll do Ctrl+Shift+P, SFDX, create Lightning Web component. And what should I name it? Book appointment? Sounds logical.
Yeah.
In the LWC
That's
folder,
what we want
obviously.
to do ultimately. We want to book an appointment at a location.
Yeah. So now basically, now from Aura, I want to pass the three things that you're sending directly to my Lightning Web component. So in order to expose something publicly, I just need to do @API. And what is it that I want? I want, why is this auto suggest not letting me do anything? API lat @API lon. I think these are the ones that you're passing to me, right? And API name. Okay, so that's it. Now you've already shown the users @API. I need to import it from the LWC module for me to use. Okay, so now that I have gotten my lat, long, and name, the next logical thing for me to do is to show a map. Okay, so for that, let me go to Chrome again. So I have a tab that is open. I'll again go to component reference because I know for sure that there is a base Lightning component for map. Let me just find it. And I see a Lightning map.
You can also do a quick find.
Yeah, now I see that it is shown as an Aura component, which I don't want. So I'll just view it as a Lightning Web component. And it is good that it is showing it to me with a single marker, which is what I need.
It's exactly what we need.
Yeah.
So you don't have to write this code now, you can just take it.
Yeah.
That's one good thing about component.
So I'll just copy the Lightning map. Okay, so, and where is my HTML here? Book appointment.html. Okay, the first thing I want to do is show this map. And obviously it is taking a map markers. And how do I get map markers? Here it is showing me that it is map markers is defined as an array of location. But my location is showing me that I'll have to send a street, city, and state. But you're sending me a latitude and longitude. So let me quickly go to the documentation to see if there is an example which just requires latitude and longitude, and I have found one. So I'll just copy this.
That's goodness of documentation. We can find more examples there.
Yeah, so and let me just paste it. Okay, but now what I see is I'll have to remove this hard coding and do this .lat, and I'll do this .lon. Okay, but now the problem here is that I'm not going to get the latitude and longitude on page load. You're going to send it to me on click. So I need my component to re-render when I'm getting the data.
Yeah.
But then if I look at my HTML code, how will I know when should I re-render? Right, so I'm going to actually define a template if true, and I'll say only whenever I want to show the map, it has to show. If not, I'll actually show something that says, let's say template, if false, show map. Okay, now what I'm trying to do is I want to declare a Boolean variable that says if I want to show a map, only then I'll show it, meaning that unless I click on a restaurant, I should not be showing a map, obviously. But in the other case, I want to show them a message saying, please choose a restaurant. Okay, so now, how do I define show map? I need it to be very dynamic. So I need it to be a get. So the reason I'm giving it as a get is every time the template re-renders, this thing is calculated dynamically. And what I want to return is this .lat not equal to null and this .lon not equal to null. If then it is true, if not, it is false. So basically, I'm able to use that ternary operator here without having to write a lot of code.
That's a good thing.
Okay, so now that I'm returning this as a get show map, how will I know that the UI has to re-render once the latitude and longitude come? I need not worry about that because it is already specified as @API, which is by default reactive.
Right. Both API.
But
and
now, once I want to show the map, I need the markers also to be dynamic. So I'll just update this syntax to say get markers. I'm also making this a getter variable. And then I'll say return, and let me copy this. Okay, so essentially what I've done here is, instead of a basic assignment, because it is assigned during the page load, I want it to be reassigned every time a latitude and longitude come in. So it has to be a getter, because once the show map re-renders the template, all the getter functions are reevaluated.
Yes.
So which means whatever latitude and longitude are going to come to me, the page will get re-rendered. The show map will take care of re-rendering my template. And the lightning map, whenever I say map markers, it looks for a getter. And since I've defined it as a getter function and not a getter property, it's going to reevaluate the whole thing. So every time I'm going to get the updated latitude and longitude. So this is all I need to do for the map. And actually, I'm kind of feeling fancy right now. If there is nothing selected, I don't want to just show a blank message. Okay, I also want to show a static resource.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, I like everything is better with pictures.
Yes, better together.
Yeah, so for importing a static resource, I think the syntax is, let me give the static resource a name, empty from @Salesforce /resource URL /empty. So what I notice here is that VS Code is automatically suggesting to me what exactly is the resource name and stuff. So I can just use that without having to fear. And then let me define a property saying empty URL is equal to empty. So I've done that. So I've retrieved this module and I'm actually assigning it to a property, and I'm going to show it on the UI. So I'll just write lightning image. No, I'll just use a standard HTML image. I don't want to run through the syntax again. And what was my name? Empty URL. So image src is empty URL, and then do we want to do anything else? I think that's it. Let me show the image and then the text in a new line.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a lot of stuff I have done. Let me just check it once.
And yeah, definitely it's not that easy to do so much of stuff in 1 hour.
Yeah, but then why did I just push? I've just created a Lightning Web component, but where am I using it? I'm not using it anywhere, my bad.
Yes, you have to use it in Aura. You said you
Yeah.
promised you're going to use it in Aura.
Right.
Okay, so now I go back to my Aura, and now that I know my Lightning Web component is called book appointment, and I can just do a C : book appointment. And I'm going to close it. So now, how do I pass in parameters to this? So I have defined all of these as public reactive variables, lat, lon, and name. So I can just give them as attributes here. So I say lat is equal to, and then lon is equal to, and then name is equal to. Now I need to get these as attributes. I need to do something here, right? I need to pass v.lat, v.lon, and v.name. So let me just create 3 attributes. Now the reason I'm doing this is I'm getting an event in JavaScript. I need to assign those values to some property on Aura for me to use it here. Okay, now I go to my controller. I see that I'm getting a stringified version of the data. So I know that it is getting me all the parameters that I need. So let me do a component dot, what is it set? v.lat.
Yeah.
to be data.lat. Is it lat?
Yeah, it's lat. LAT.
Yeah, LAT, LON, and name,
Right.
which is coming from data. So let me do LAT, and as usual, copy paste.
Yeah, those are the first things we learn as developers, right? Control C, Control V.
Yeah, many a times I forget to update the values, so I don't need this anymore. Okay, so in pubsub ready, after a location is selected, I'm setting the latitude, longitude, and name on the aura attributes. Once I set those on the aura attributes, I'm passing them to the Lightning Web component. So because it is parent-child communication, I can just pass it down through attributes. I need not fire events and stuff.
Right.
So it's all good. It looks good to me, but until I push, I don't know if it's going to work or not.
Yeah, that's where we generally, as developers, keep our fingers crossed, develop everything, push it, and see how it works in real time.
Okay, I think
looks like there's a new image there.
Yeah, I think this one worked. That if the latitude and longitude are not passed, the image has come and the text has come. But let me see if I click what happens. Okay, it looks good. I think the thing got refreshed and there is a map that has come with the pointer. So I'm assuming everything is good so far.
But I want another component now. Is it coming up next?
Oh yeah, I think the book appointment stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me see now. What is it that you want when you want to book an appointment? I remember from the screenshot you are accepting a date.
Right.
But as a developer, I also want to suggest you, if you just give the date, I mean, how does the user know for how long the appointment is?
So I'll time as well.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I also take the
sense.
liberty to suggest we'll give a duration. So I'll say you can start an appointment at 12:30 p.m.
Let's
and
give it
maybe you
everything.
want a 1 hour meeting should be enough.
1 hour should be good.
Yeah, so for that, now I want to show a date and time. I need a picker, and I don't want to get through the headache of using jQuery and stuff for a picker. So again, let me go to Chrome and try to find Lightning input. Okay, so I know there is an input for text and date, but I'm not really sure if there is one for date and time as well. So let me check. Okay, there is one for date and time. And is there anything very complex with this? No, there is a date and I'm getting a time picker. This is good enough, right?
Yeah, that should work.
Okay, so date and time.html. What is it accepting? It's this code. Okay, so let me just put that. I'll give the name, what is it, appointment start. Okay, and next I want to give the duration. Again, is there a number input? Yes. Ideally, we can choose text or number. It really shouldn't matter, I'm hoping, right?
Yeah. So we are just seeing it in hours, right? Duration.
You can probably give it a number.
Yeah, that should be more appropriate.
Yeah, it's a number. It's gonna be a number, most probably.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let me again paste input type is equal to number, and then I say it to be duration. Okay. Okay, I think I've defined my HTML. I think this is all it should contain.
Yes.
Okay, but now how do I store these values? So let's assume I'm changing the input. I need to be able to store it somewhere in the backend.
Yeah, you have
as
to
well.
save or submit. Maybe you need a button here.
Definitely. So I'll do a lightning button. And what do you want to call it?
Let's call it
book
submit.
appointment or submit. Submit
Okay.
should also work. Yeah.
Or save, book, anything. Maybe book or submit.
Submit.
I'm fine with anything.
Okay.
It just has to work.
Yeah, as long as Shashank is good.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
I'll make it a brand variant because it comes in that decent blue color. And
Oh yeah, I like that.
submit, and as usual, every button, there is no use of a button if I don't do an on click. So handle click. I think this should be good enough.
Yes.
Okay, so book appointment.js. Now I have this markers and stuff. So let me do a handle click and of event. Now, what is it that I should be doing? I should be like saving it to the database, right?
Yeah, maybe create a event record. That's good enough, I guess.
Okay, let me just look at what the class contains. I think it has a create event, which is accepting duration, date, time, contact ID, and name.
Yep, we should just use that.
Okay, so I think we already know the syntax for it. Import, let's say book appt from @Salesforce / okay, it was this, right? Create event.
Looks like you can import it with any name that you want to use in the
Yeah,
code.
I can use any name.
So you said book appt. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Okay, I mean it is for me to easily understand.
Yeah.
Okay, now inside handle
Efficiency again.
Yeah. Now inside handle click, I want to actually make a call out to Apex. Now we've seen wire, but wire is generally to read the data. But I think to write the data, I need to do imperative call. So for that, I can just type LWC hyphen, and it's going to again give me suggestions. So I'll do LWC imperative apex. And then if you see, it gives me a method stub that talks about how should I declare. Okay, now I think I'll just use book appointment to be the method name here. Okay, now book appointment, I know it's taking in some parameters. Okay, but now I know what those parameters are, but I don't know what is the format in which I'll have to give those parameters. Okay, and I don't want to keep switching between the tabs. So VS Code has this handy feature. So I hover over this book appointment, and it's going to show me the list of parameters it accepts. I'll just copy.
That's like a smart developer.
And I'll paste it here. So I know I'm calling a book appointment with all of these. And then now I need to give these values. So now how am I going to get the duration from the front end? So again, I remember from the recipes, whenever we were changing a text value, we were doing an on change and storing it in a local variable, right? So let me just do that. So both for date and time, I'll do an on change, handle change, on change, handle change. So here I'm getting a little bit efficient because I don't want to define different change handlers, which is doing the same function.
Same stuff.
Okay, so I'll base it off the parameters. So let me randomly define handle change of event. Okay, now obviously I need to store what is the things that are coming from the backend. Do I need to give anything? I need not have it to be tracked or something. So let me just say selected date time, which is going to be the date and time I chose. Duration is something I'm going to get from the front end again. And in handle change, what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to try and get the name of the attribute. Okay, so both of them are handle change. But how do I know what element has fired it? One thing I find unique is the name of the element. Okay, so I'll try to get it. So like you said earlier, Satya, anything inside you can declare it to be a constant because it doesn't change.
Right.
So constant target name, maybe perhaps, and then event.target.name. So now it's going to give me whatever is the name of the attribute, name of the element that fired it.
Right.
So now all I need to do is write an if condition saying if target name is equal to what is it in the front end.
And this was one of the common questions, Shank, where I was doing some about how to handle, like with the same name given there for the handler, how are we going to handle it in the code?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if target name is appointment start, then I'm going to do this dot, what did I define my name? Selected date time is equal to this, we all know, event.target.value. I think this is not going to change. And similarly, if, let me again copy paste. If target name is, I might have given duration. So
Yeah.
duration. So again, here it is this dot duration is equal to event dot target dot value. Okay, so I think this is good enough.
Yeah.
Now I'll pass the parameters here, this dot duration. And I don't think I need a semicolon, I just need a comma here. Okay, and DT is this dot selected date time. Now when it comes to the contact ID, I'm not getting the contact ID from anywhere. So I think I need to add that as a part of my external call out to you, because the aura itself is going to have the contact ID and I can just pass it down.
Yes.
Because I see there is a v.record ID that I can use.
Yeah.
So let me go here and then let me say it is record ID is equal to v.record ID.
Most of you guys have questions around are we going to share the recording, the code, the slides, everything? Don't worry. The recording will be shared. The code will be shared right after we are done with it. And then the slides, a few of the slides that we have, they also will be shared. So no worries.
This dot contact ID. And then name, obviously you're sending me the name, right? So this dot name. This dot name.
So currently the Git is in private mode. So immediately, probably once we are done with it, we'll make it public so that everyone can access it.
Cool. Yeah. So now I realize I really don't need to pass the event because I declared it, but I'm not using it anywhere. So I really don't need it. If I remove, I think it's going to be the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you'll need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something fancy here. Expected this. Okay. So I think ESLint is suggesting me the best practices.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's asking me to use triple equal to.
Equal to and double equal to have different functionality in JavaScript, right?
Right.
Yeah. It gave me nightmares when I read about it. Okay, but now I think there are no errors anymore. I'm going to make an imperative call, but how do I show the users that an appointment has been booked? I would want to show a toast message saying it is successful.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me try if there is an auto suggest for that. So let me see LWC hyphen, yeah, toast. The moment I say toast, I'm getting a lot of things here. And the title is going to be appointment booked.
That's where I like the code snippets. So most of the things, most of the most important things we need not really remember. They are already available there.
Just take the boilerplate and update the values.
Exactly.
For what we need.
Right.
As simple as that.
Okay.
I think we should also import the toast event.
Yeah, the show toast is not defined.
Right.
I need to import the toast event, but I frankly don't remember how it is imported. So let me just Google it. How do I Google? Show toast event, let me copy. Show toast event LWC. I just Google that, I get taken to, I think, the same component library. It's easier for me to see from there.
Again, the component library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all we need, I think.
That's it.
For most of the
Yeah, the developer guide has everything. So if I scroll, I can see that there is this import statement. Let me just copy that and paste it once. And I think this error should be resolved now. Now, in case of error, I want to do the same thing. I want to do an LWC toast, but instead of success, I want to do an error. So error occurred. And instead of message, what I want to do is I want to show this dot error. And here I want to show this dot message. Actually, it is a result dot message, I think. Okay, this is good enough. I think it is good enough. So let me save. So I'm showing a toast message. Is there anything else from your requirements, Shashank? Let me.
We're saving it to the database, creating an event record. If we are doing all that, then I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can push the code and check the functionality.
Yeah, we can push the code and see. And we can add more functionality as well. But yeah, time, I believe.
Yeah, I mean the client's
it's really expensive than anything else.
The time really doesn't matter because in the end, customer satisfaction, whatever the client wants has to be done.
You're right, Aditya.
Reminds me of the Linkin Park song. In the end, doesn't even matter.
Okay, so the map is working.
Map.
I think
date,
you
time,
have
and duration as well.
Announce the date, time. That's great.
Okay, let me just click book.
Is that number of hours?
There is an error that has come.
Oh.
Okay.
Need to fix it?
Did you plant it?
I did not. But if something works in the first go, then it will be a miracle. So
Yes.
Okay, so now how do I check what is the error?
So I believe we can.
Do you want to
use debugger?
Use the error code or something like that?
I think it's in Apex, right? Why don't I put a debug log?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, I was just thinking we are almost towards the end of the code and we haven't hit any errors yet.
Yeah.
I jinxed the whole thing, I think.
That is very bad, Shashank. You should not jinx happy goals. Okay. All good. Let me click book once more. Another error. But Aura shows it's a success. So let me quickly see if the who ID is null. I think everything is good except the who ID.
Yeah.
The who ID should be the contact ID.
Yeah. Should we pass that as well?
I think we haven't passed it correctly. Let me check. Okay, where is our appointments.cmp? We have v.record ID. I'm passing it. Book appointment. Have I defined record ID here? Obviously, if you see, I have given the name wrong.
Wow.
Yes.
It is actually contact ID. Here I've passed as a record ID.
Yeah.
Which is bad. So now it's contact ID. Contact ID is going to come, and I'm using this .contact ID. So hopefully now
it should
work.
Yeah.
So best practice, remember your variables.
Yeah, one way this is, we at least got to know how to use the Apex debug logs as well.
Yes.
Under intense pressure, we tend to forget important things.
And that's where generally developers do mistakes, like small mistakes, forgetting or renaming or typos.
Yep.
Hopefully now, no?
Still have an error.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong on the Apex side.
Yeah, it looks to be the event has inserted, so there is nothing wrong on the Apex side.
Yeah.
But why am I still getting the toast error? So it went into catch.
Yeah.
So the book appointment was successful. I think the event got inserted as well, but instead of coming into then, it went into catch. So did we do any mistake in declaring this variable? Maybe there is no result.message.
Yeah. Do you wanna
I'll just
try something else maybe?
Can you use some generic text message there?
Yeah, booked successfully is what I'll give. I think for now, in order to see if the error is because of that. But now I see the result is declared but never used.
Right.
I really don't need to see the result, because if it is coming into, then I know it's a successful one.
Right.
So let me just remove it.
You can just use the arrow function syntax.
Yeah, this is something that is very new to the ECMAScript 6, because previously you'll have to, in order to declare anonymous functions, you had to use the word function. Now it's no longer needed. You
just need brackets.
Yeah. Okay. Should it work now?
I hope so.
Hope so.
Where is my Chrome? Yes. Third time's the charm, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Enter duration and book. And appointment.
Yeah.
Hey, there we are.
All right, so it was basically the result usage.
Yeah, I didn't know what was there in result, so off the top of my head, I assumed it is going to contain .message, and it turns out it doesn't contain. So it's ideally good to go look at the documentation before doing such random trial and error. So that's a good learning.
Yep. So I think
this satisfies your requirement.
Yes, I think so. So we have the first component with the restaurant list, and then we have the second component with Lightning Map, which actually uses Google Maps. We're actually using Google Maps with just one line of base component code. And you also suggested changes that I couldn't even think of, which is great. Thank you so much. And I think it looks perfect. I'm good.
Yeah,
okay.
Then we're almost done with the job, Aditya.
Okay, that's pretty much what we have in store for you guys for the live coding use case that we built. What we're going to do now is we're shortly going to post a link to the GitHub repo that we're going to commit it to. Aditya is going to now commit his changes to the GitHub repo.
Okay.
And once he's done, Satya is going to make the repo public. And then Jerry is going to shortly post the link to it. So the link should shortly be available as a public URL. So let me make Satya the presenter again. Okay, Satya is presenting now. Okay, there is one more interesting question that we have in store for you guys, all the attendees. So we have a little poll that we want to do. We hope you enjoyed live coding, and we are also considering what kind of platforms that we should use for live coding. So there's a quick poll out there. There is a platform called Twitch that can be used for live coding. So is that something you would want to consider? Is something we want to know? So you can just say yes, no. If you haven't heard about Twitch, you can just say what is Twitch, and if you have any other suggestions, you can just say I have another in mind. So we'll quickly we'll give you some time to choose, and then we'll take the results of the poll. Okay, so with that, thank you so much, Aditya and Satya, for making my day. And thank you so much for all the live coding efforts. You actually built a couple of Lightning Web Components within the last 90 minutes, which actually do pretty much like enterprise level use case, right? So that is great. And I hope our audience also got to see the developer experience, how developers can actually in reality build these Lightning Web Components, how to use the documentation, the component library, how to, encounter, how to deal with errors.
We almost did it flawlessly. Yeah, nothing is flawless.
But I'm glad there was an error. So, but because we figured out how to solve the error, that is actually the most important thing, right?
Correct.
Like I hear some developers saying that 80% of the time they are debugging.
Right.
So thank you so much for that, guys. We are almost done with the quick poll, and then we'll go back to our a few more seconds to go. And then with that, we have come to the end of the overall Lightning Web Component series. And please also give us your feedback about what you thought about this live coding webinar. We're shortly going to post a link to our chatter group as well, where you can actually post questions. Before that, please feel free to just go to the trail mix that we created for Lightning Web Components to learn further. and we've also posted links to the webinar episodes also that you can go through. Right. With that, please feel free to join the conversation at Salesforce Devs and join our Trailblazer community group as well. We are going to post the link to this bit.ly link into the chat now, so that you will be able to join that group. We are also going to post now the GitHub repo, which we are shortly going to make public. And then please feel free to provide us the survey feedback through the survey that you're going to receive at the end of this webinar. With that, thank you so much, everybody, and I hope you have a great rest of Friday today, and I hope you have a great weekend as well. And we're going to come back with more such amazing webinar content in the future as well. So stay tuned, watch out for those emails and tweets that we keep sending out. With that, thank you so much, and have a nice day.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.